I would wear so much face tape. I would put like a clamp on the back of my neck to just pull all the wrinkles. I'm not trying to like, I'm just sick of it.
The two hot people basically went into the corner and started having sex with each other and left the rest of us. G'day and welcome to RnR with me, Courtney Act. She is a legendary comedian, actress, advocate, 5 times Grammy and Emmy nominee, and influencer of culture at large. Please welcome Margaret Cho.
RnR!
Margaret, you've always taken me as an artist who just doesn't give a fuck. And I think that sometimes I care a bit too much about what people think. Is that quality something that you had to foster? Was it always that way?
Well, I think you do care what people think. Like you have to, because you're, as an entertainer, it's important to have positive feedback. Even though you're sort of under the guise of like, I don't care what the outcome is. I really do. Well, it also depends on like who's listening, like who's being offended. There are certain people I don't care if I'm offending them, if they are homophobic, if they are racist, if they are sexist, if they are offensive to me in that way, then I really don't give a But for the rest of the sort of audience, I do care about, like, I want to be entertaining. I want it to be funny. I want it to be interesting.
Obviously, you want to care about your audience. You want to hear them laughing.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to care about people who have paid to come see you. Like, I don't want to leave the house. Ever. So when somebody leaves the house to come see me and to pay to do it, like, I love that. Like, and I want to give them the best experience.
Take on the summer with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. You just heat up and enjoy, and it gives you more time to do what you want, like taking a hike or hopping on a week. Factor meals pack in the flavor, and there is no fuss. So get started at factormeals.com/Courtney50off and use code Courtney50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
You don't want to leave the house, but you are often leaving the house. You're so busy. You're touring,
I go out a lot, yeah.
You're doing films, you're doing television. Like, looking at your IMDb over the years, it's just been a perpetual slew of roles. And
it's good.
It's really wonderful.
It's good.
I've heard you talk about wanting to be the Joan Collins and people creating roles for you and being the doyen of that era.
I do want to be the Joan Collins. So that would be great. Like, in her 50s, 60s, that's when she hit like the sweet spot of when she was like, now I'm like the sex pot. Like the Dynasty era, which I love. So hot.
I feel like you could be in a movie and win an Oscar next year. That's like, knowing you and loving you for so long, I can just picture that being like something that's very realistic.
I love that. Yeah. Yes, let's manifest.
Let's manifest that.
Let's manifest that.
You've just always had this loyal and loving queer audience along the way. How important is it for our community to all come together and love you?
So important. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. It's so important. And we have each other. We have entertainment, which has always been really important. We have camp. We have drag. We have our humor, which keeps us sane and above ground, like fighting. So for me, being part of the queer community and being part of the entertainment world, like it's more than just a job. It's a passion. It's like a life's work.
Are you in love at the moment?
No.
No? Single?
But I'm single.
Mingling?
I'm mingling always. I love when you can go back and go into your roster from like really far back into like the Rolodex. There's a couple of people that I've been with over like 20 years. And the bodies change and the situations change. So you don't see them for like 5-6 years at a time, but then when you reunited, it's great.
Yeah. There's a level of comfort and familiarity and connection.
And ease.
And like something nice about someone who's known you for so long through different evolutions.
I think it's really beautiful. Yeah. I mean, I think it's why people go to high school reunions, but I don't.
Have you been to a high school reunion?
Not for no, I think I went to like the 10-year, which isn't even like very long. Yeah. So I don't think it makes a difference.
Yeah, I went to the 10-year. It was fine. I mean, a lot of the people that I went to school with still live in the suburb that I grew up in, and they all married each other. And
Oh, wow.
I don't want to, in case they're watching, I'm not going to speak disparaging of their lifestyles, but
They're all swingers.
well,
They've all got upside down pineapples on their door, like on their mailbox.
I hope they do. I hope they've gotten to that stage where they were like, you know what, we got married at 17 and had
I
kids
hope
at
they're all
21.
swingers.
How do you feel about swingers versus polyamory?
I think both require way more energy than I'm willing to give. Because polyamory in particular, if you have a polycule, it's like so much talking. I don't want to do that level of talking.
I feel like you're a good communicator, though.
I am a good communicator, but I also just impatient.
Right.
And I don't hold other people's feelings in high regard. 'Cause I just don't care if you're jealous or mad or whatever. I'm not here to comfort those petty slights. And when you're in a polycule, there's so much potential for jealousy, for lines to get crossed, for people to feel their boundaries are messed with. And
do you get jealous in relationships?
if I really like the person, yeah.
Have you ever had that experience of compersion, of feeling enjoyment for somebody else's enjoyment?
Yes. Only because I just don't sometimes I'm not trying to
Yeah.
I'm just sick of it.
You do it. You
Go
do it.
for it. I'm so happy. I like swinging better than I like polycules and polyamory because swinging is more casual. The lifestyle is, based around parties and events, and there's not regular relationships that you're building with the people that you're having sex with. Just kind of guest stars in and out.
Cool for the summer sort of thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
The problem is the people who swing are not as attractive.
And they're often not queer,
No,
right? They're
no.
often more hetero-identified.
It's hetero, and then the women are usually bi, and there's more of an emphasis on women getting together.
Hot girl on girl action.
Yeah, hot wifing.
Yeah.
So that to me is less attractive. It's very more heteronormative.
Yeah.
Where polyamory is much more queer identified, where you have these queer polycule families, which I think is great, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
When you're talking about a straight throuple, when it's three gay men, that works really well. I think that works really well. That's the only form of quote unquote a polycule is super successful. I think a throuple can be really.
What about 3 queer women?
That's great too. But you always end up starting a band. So you have to make sure you have instruments and recording studio.
Or that someone has no musical talent whatsoever.
Yeah. When you get into the 4 and 5, I think there's got to be an etiquette, like a gangbang. You don't want 5 people because then one guy's just going to be rubbing your arm
Always left out.
or holding a shoe.
You have one in the front and one in the back.
You can't.
Holding the lube, holding the poppers.
Or jerking off.
Or jerking
That's
off.
the saddest when somebody's jerking off at the gangbang.
I never want to be that person.
Yeah.
There's so many insecurities that come with sex anyway, that even if you did feel that you were in it and you were totally desired, that if you find yourself jerking off in the corner, you're just oh.
Always the bridesmaid.
Never the bride.
Never the bride.
I was at a group sex, let's say 6 people, with the Mondrian Hotel, and the 2 hot people basically went into the corner and started having sex with each other and left the rest of us.
Oh,
We were
how dare they? I mean, yeah, it's I've had sex with the Mondrian too. Mondrian, there's something about the Mondrian. It's for wild sexual. I don't know.
Maybe it's a
Vortex, a
vortex
hellmouth. It's a hellmouth.
Hellmouth of sex.
Something about that hotel. It's
Slutty
exciting.
building.
Slutty building.
Yeah.
Summer is my season. More sun, more light, more time to do all of the things that you love. And you know what you don't want to be doing all summer is spending hours cooking inside. That is where Factor comes in. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes. Factor has got 45 weekly menu options, and you can pick gourmet meals that fit your summer gains and goals. Choose from options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. And Factor meals arrive fresh and they're ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. With nutritious breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts, Factor has got your whole day covered. I just had the 3-bean vegan chili with cornbread casserole. It was so good. And I just love that I can get a whole meal hot and ready to go in just 2 minutes in the microwave. Get Factor if you want all of the flavor and none of the fuss so you can enjoy your summer. summer. Get started at factormeals.com/Courtney50off and use code Courtney50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code Courtney50off at factormeals.com/Courtney50off for 50% off plus free shipping.
Margaret, I feel like you interact in like huge A-list spaces as well as like a dive bar in Silver Lake.
Yeah.
What is it like straddling, if you will, those two worlds?
I don't go to like the parties like kind of like that I used to. One time I went to Carrie Fisher and Penny Marshall's big like joint. They used to have a joint birthday party before they all died.
Mm-hmm.
Big joint
I
birthday
hope it
party.
was before they died.
Yeah, and Billy Lord was a tiny baby, and Carrie was like, you know, putting her to bed, and I was up there, and it was like being in like Madame Tussauds because everybody was famous. It was so weird, and I was just like, it's like 92 or 93, just like a young Hollywood starlet, and
Did you just describe yourself as a young Hollywood starlet?
Starlet.
I love that.
Yes. I want to say Diana Dors when she was 16, like that kind of vibe. So Harrison Ford like had 2 full glasses of wine and he's like walking, he dumped both of them on me. And I was so mortified because I was covered in wine.
Oh,
It
Harrison.
was a nightmare. And he was like trying to clean it, but then he didn't want to touch me.
Yeah.
Because it was like,
Well, that's nice of him.
as a young woman, he was like,
Yeah.
I was very flustered. And Tom Hanks came over to try to comfort me. And he said, you know, my grandmother is Chinese. And then walked away. And it's funny. But it's like allyship, but it's sort of like funny, like it's kind of misguided
Yeah.
and ridiculous. But I love it. I mean, there was just like, I mean, Tom Cruise was there and like everybody, Tom Petty and Carol Kane came together in top hats with Danny DeVito behind them, also in a top hat. So they all had top hats and capes. Yeah, it was one of the most strange experiences where everybody was famous. And you're like, wow, that's so, they actually do have these parties where everybody's famous. But it was just so overwhelming. I went to another party where there was a guy who was a director and he was keen on having me and Janine Garofalo perform at his party. And we were like young starlets. We were really, really young. And he wanted us to do comedy at his party. He's like got all of these like Hollywood like mavens around. It's like Shirley MacLaine and Barbara Eden was sitting in the front row because she really wanted to hear what we had to say. And she was just listening to us do our little baby comedy, listening, just beautiful Barbara Eden. And then I went to the bathroom, and he was an old Hollywood gay. So he had a toilet and a bidet, and above the bidet, he had a shelf that had Tux and Preparation H and all sorts of pads and ointments for the asshole. It was like a first ass kit. And I'm like looking at all of it, and I'm sitting on the toilet, and Shirley MacLaine walks in while I'm sitting on the toilet, and she was like, ah, and screamed and shut the door. And I was starstruck, but also shitting, but starstruck. But there was a first ass kit.
It's a beautiful combination of
It was
feelings.
great. So I don't think they have those old Hollywood parties anymore.
No, they probably don't. But what if you were in a movie and you did get nominated for an Oscar next year? Would
Love
you
it.
go and get your face out there and go to those
Yes.
parties? And
I would wear so much face tape.
Uh-huh.
You would not know. I mean, I would put like a clamp on the back of my neck to just pull all the wrinkles. Like I would be so into it.
But manifesting
Manifest
it.
it.
Manifesting
Yeah, I would love it.
The Tom Hanks comment, I wanted to circle back to, right? Because I nearly got the Tom Hanks strain of COVID.
You did.
I was in Australia because he was the first person,
Right.
not the first person, he's not patient
But
zero,
yeah,
but
yeah,
he's one of
yeah.
the first people.
Right.
I was a guest judge on Dancing with the Stars, and Tom Hanks, we're going to have to do some yoga here because this is a stretch, but Tom Hanks was interviewed by a famous Australian journalist, Richard Wilkins, and his son, Christian Wilkins, was on Dancing with the Stars, and he had seen his dad and I had seen Christian. And so I did my guest judge duty, not judge duty, got on a plane, flew to LA, landed in LA on the 17th of March, 2020, and then got a message saying, you're a close contact of Tom Hanks's COVID.
Wow.
Because he got it, Richard got it, and then you've been talking to Christian and got to LA, and I thought, we knew that it was kind of a thing, but that was when we thought, oh, we'll just like have dinner parties and be inside for a few weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was like those first few days of COVID where I was like,
You got the famous.
Do I have
you,
the celebrity
did you get
strain?
It? Did you
no,
get
I didn't get it.
No, well.
I almost had the super strain,
Well, that's cool.
the celebrity strain.
I like that.
I did have syphilis, though, which was unrelated to Tom Hanks. But
what do you get for that? Do you get like is it penicillin?
Yeah, shot, I think a bit. It was just one shot in the bum. So
oh, well, that's good.
That was nice.
Yeah.
I want to go back to maybe the 90s. America became aware of you in 94 when you were on the show...
It's called All American Girl,
All-American.
which I'm
No, the
definitely
title of the
like,
show.
no, I'm going to use that to make sure I don't get deported. I have to keep my
Right?
IMDb open for ICE agents. Like literally, like it's so scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary, but I am the All-American Girl, so they can't deport me. Also, I was born here.
Yeah.
All my parents are citizens, so I think, I don't know.
Even in 1994, like the power of that title, All-American Girl.
That was into sort of like the inside joke, like how could she, not American, actually be all-American? It was the first Asian American family on television in 1994, which is so 31 years ago.
And then the next Asian American family wasn't until
It wasn't until
2014?
2014, yeah, with Fresh Off the Boat. Also, the very idea of like broad family comedy, which I'm not. I'm not a family comedian. I've never been. I am like the worst of the worst, raunchy, nasty, like club comics. So to take somebody like me and put me in that kind of a role is very challenging.
When you think about representation and diversity on television, it's interesting because we talk a lot about representation from Black people and then often like Asian, South Asian, Indian, and so on. Like we don't see as much representation.
Well, for the longest time, we just didn't exist.
Yeah.
Especially in comedy, you're seeing more Asian American voices and TV shows and specials, and that's really great. I think it's really exciting. There's just more diversity there, but that's like one of the other things about this administration. They are so hell-bent on really turning the idea of diversity into like the worst thing that's ever happened, which is like a very odd point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I understand in an us versus them kind of political strategy, but I just think about how important visibility has been to me as a queer person. We do have so much content for different types of people now, but that content is destination content. All American Girl was on network television.
Yes, so it was a time where we only had 3 networks in America. We only had that big 3, and then Fox was just sort of doing programming on the weekends a little bit. That was the difference between then and now, where now you have so much of sort of variety of entertainment, and then even micro cultures that you find on like YouTube and, you know, different things, which is great. Back then, we just didn't have a choice.
Yeah. I think about young people now at least can always find themselves represented, but I guess the shortcoming of those destination programs is that the people who they don't represent don't watch, and then there's less understanding about people who are different from us.
The reach is less broad,
Yeah.
but then you have very broad reach things that become popular from these cultures, like Drag Race. Drag Race is a great example of like something that has actually become mainstream.
Yeah.
I think my favorite franchise right now is probably Philippines, because I think that one is really like so apropos the country and so much talent.
Yeah.
But all of them are great.
There was
I
the
love
girl
it.
that set herself on fire.
Love it. It's so exciting.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Your new music.
Yes.
Tell me about the inspiration behind it.
I'm trying to stave off dementia. That was like the main reason. So if you learn instruments, you learn lyrics, and you learn how to play, and you sort of open up different parts of your brain, maybe you don't go...
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And you play guitar, right?
I play guitar. I kind of play everything a little bit. I don't play anything well,
Okay.
but I play everything a little bit.
Yep.
You know, for me, this album is really special because it sort of is an advance in my writing. I've gotten better as a songwriter and better as a singer, so I'm proud of it.
What favorite songs are you looking forward to people hearing on the album?
Well, a Lucky Gift, the song, it's about when you feel ugly and you fall in love anyway. So it's also the message that love is for everyone. I really love that feeling of exhilaration and excitement and like youth. It's weird how you get this sort of burst of like youthful energy.
There's a bum for every seat, as
That's
they
right.
say. Where do you meet people?
Kind of anywhere.
Are you on the apps?
I am.
It's kind of like a slot machine. You're just kind of like
It is.
And then every now and then you'll win a few bucks and you're like, oh, and you keep coming back for more.
Yeah.
How do you find being on the apps?
I haven't really met that many people.
Can I recommend a video date? Usually people say yes, and they think it's a little bit weird, but then you've had, within 30 seconds of hearing someone's voice, seeing the way their face moves, seeing their gestures, you kind of have an idea of whether you want to put on clothes and leave the house.
That's excellent. There was one date I had with a man who I really liked him, and we had a couple of really long phone conversations that were great. We met, and he had baby hands, like a child hands. And I felt so bad. Because I was
Is this a deal breaker for you?
Well, I don't know.
Like, how small are we talking?
Smaller than mine.
Okay.
And I have really small hands.
Okay.
When they're smaller than mine, it scares me.
Now, if there's anybody in this world who is going to love a man with baby hands, I feel like it could be you.
Yeah, because I'm a loving,
right?
I'm a
you're
loving
lovely,
person.
Compassionate person.
Yeah, but he wasn't small.
No.
He was a large man.
Yeah.
I felt so odd in that situation. It was the not matching that freaked me out.
And you couldn't get past it?
The thing is I might have, but I kept looking at them.
Right.
I
mean,
felt
he
bad.
must have known, right?
I'm sure. I felt bad.
Okay, so...
I just like fingering, so it was that...
Not big enough for that. Well, I don't know, maybe they could go places that others can't.
Maybe they could be a fisting.
Exactly.
I don't know. Maybe I was close-minded.
Maybe. He's got feet. Right?
It is easy to savor more this summer with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. You just heat them up and enjoy. And then you've got more time to do what you want, like turning a look at a pool party or listening to a great new podcast, hosted by an Australian beauty. Get started at factormeals.com/Courtney50off and use code Courtney50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
Is there anything that we learnt today?
We learned a lot about the difference between polyamory and swingers.
I actually think that's quite valid for the audience to think about.
It is very valid because people sort of combine the two.
Yeah.
But I think they're very separate communities.
Yeah. And I think they think so too.
Absolutely.
Before it's all over, I would like to be in a polycule. I think I'd love to give it a crack and see what it's like.
Yes.
Thank you so much for tuning into RnR with me, Courtney Act. I'd love to thank my guest today, Margaret Cho. You can find her on Instagram at Margaret_Cho. I am Courtney Act. The show's Instagram is Courtney RnR, and you can email us, CourtneyRnR@gmail.com. See you next time. Oh no!
Ad-free versions and extended episodes of RnR with Courtney Act are available on Mum Plus Gold at patreon.com/Mum Plus. RnR with Courtney Act is produced by Moguls of Media, aka Mum, hosted by Courtney Act, produced by Big Dipper, edited by Griffin Dunn, theme song and audio supervision by Will Pitts, engineering and technical direction by Margot Padilla, media and design support by Stone Cole, set design by Ara Sevilla, production assistance from Austin Garcia, chairs furnished by Ellison Studios. Executive produced by Alaska Willem Big Dipper, Camille Stennis, and Joe Cilio. Recorded at Forever Dog Productions.
Thank you.
Perfect.
She wants a mommy.
Like a girl.
M. Oh. M. Mom.